The Eternals has finally been released, and it has sparked controversy not only within the Shield, the specialized media, but also within the MCU fandom. There are some who love it, some who hate it, and some who haven't yet seen it, but either think it's an achievement because of its representation and diversity quota, or a complete bore-fest that deserves to be thrown to the rubbish bin without any remorse. Amongst the first group of people, those who love it, that is none other than professional gaslighter and occasional comic book writer, with major air quotes here, Gail Simone. For those of you who have the blessing of not knowing who Simone is, well, she's a hairdresser who won a Simpsons comics competition to make a cameo in one of their Treehouse of Horror comics, and from then on, she spent a career mostly writing for the DC comics like Birds of Prey, which was actually a very good comic book when she was on board with it. But also she is doing stupid shit on Twitter all the time, such as gaslighting fans, harassing others and dogpiling them when they don't agree with her followers. All those people that follow Simone go after any dissenting, disagreeing opinion all the time. And occasionally, and I am going to stress that, occasionally, she writes other comic books as well. But of course, of the worst quality that you could possibly imagine. In all honesty, Simone's original tweet had nothing wrong, and it was only voicing an opinion about the film. It read, quote, "Okay, I loved The Eternals. I am not familiar with the comic, I'll admit it, but I loved the film. Lovely characters, avoidance of the usual formulas, and lush visuals. I understand not everyone agrees, but I loved it," end quote. Now, that last bit is where it all gets interesting. See, she said she understood if not everyone agrees with her, but in practice, when that happened and someone disagreed with her, she quote tweeted, and that of course brought everyone to dogpile this person. Of course, she later on made those tweets private or whatever, hid them or erase them or something, because she's a beast like that, who doesn't think before acting and then wants to hide the consequences of her stupid decisions. But she just did it so her stans, her quote-unquote fans, and those who follow her listen to the dog whistle and go after the prey. One such instance was when Lyndon Hall quoted her tweet responding, quote, "Ha ha ha, of course you loved race-swapped, gender-swapped representation robots," end quote. Now, you may argue that the tweet was a tad aggressive, or that it was judging Simone's character or preferences, and let me get this straight. I don't agree or condone what Hall did. I actually think that it's a little tacky and that it could have been worded better. He could have taken it differently or commented without going after her preference, but it is still a disagreement with her opinion, something that opposes her opinion. What happened later on was that Simone quoted this, trying to blow the whistle for her stance and go after Hall. Of course, he used it to write an article, and it's in poor taste in my opinion, but you know what, to each their own. Now, as I question Hall's actions, so do I also question Simone's practices, which are very common. After she began the dogpiling, many also came after her since she drew attention to the whole affair even more. A case of the Streisand effect here. When the inevitable happened and she got called out for trying to dogpile someone, even if it was Lyndon Hall, she kept on retweeting and responding, making the issue even bigger than it actually was, and in every single time justifying or trying to justify her actions by saying she only said she had liked a movie and that everyone was just too mean to her. Yeah, like that. Well, there were dissenting opinions to yours, Gail, and even if they were tasteless or not that polite, they were contrary to yours, and instead of being the adult and sticking to your word, that you understood disagreements, mind you. You just kept on going after people and sending your supporters, your followers, your fans after them by way of quote tweeting them. And I'm not only talking about Hall here. Simone also went after two of our own, people that I love and that I cherish because they are my friends. The lovely couple that conforms Gothic therapy. Simone jumped on Writing Raven and, as you'd expect, Master of the TDS defended his lovely wife. And Simone not only cowardly hid those tweets of hers, but also blocked them before they could even respond. As one would expect, Simone tripled down and tried to explain what had happened by placing herself as the victim. In a follow-up tweet she wrote, quote, "Yesterday I said I liked a movie and a wave of a gator group I'd never heard of decided to swoop in and be jerks." End quote. See, this is where I see another problem. Well, more than one actually, but let's go little by little. Simone is playing the victim card to a T like her bestie, Heather Antos, that fake geek girl who cried bullying when everyone commented on her milkshake incident back in 2017 or something like that, and she was making it all about her being harassed and bullied into oblivion. Simone is doing exactly the same thing, blowing stuff out of proportion here, and lying about the reason people came after her. She also lies about who called her out. She is saying the Gators, as in Comicsgate. They came after her. Oh, poor Simone! So defenseless against the patriarchy of the Comicsgate movement and all those gators and all those communities that are so horrible and so mean to mainstream creators. Would there ever be a group of whisperers and conspirators where she could find solace and plot to take down anyone she deems undesirable in the mainstream industry so she can feel protected and safe once again? Only the time will tell the answer. Lyndon Hall is in Comicsgate. Jay Shadow, also known on Twitter as Mara Jade, who also tweeted and quoted Simone's responses, is in Comicsgate to my knowledge. Gothic Therapy is in Comicsgate. No, the Comicsgate people didn't come after her. And as a matter of fact, not any group. I mean, nobody came after her. In terms of groups like Fandom Menace or any other thing, or Gamergate or whatever. No. What came for her, who called her out, were only people. That's it. People that saw something wrong with how Simone was handling all this affair. Just like that. Nothing else. It was regular individuals who are tired of the mainstream creators, quote unquote, of course, coming after everyone and anyone because they have a different opinion. Again, I cannot defend Hall for what he did. The way he phrased his criticism was wrong in my opinion, but it was a disagreement in the end all the same. Simone said she was cool with that only for doing exactly the opposite of what she had said in a matter of minutes. Just like that, minutes. The victim card, the dogpiling, the exaggeration of the situation, and also the false narrative are way too common nowadays, and Simone knows how to work that to a T. She's a master in that. So let me get this straight. Nobody came after her for liking a movie, and it certainly wasn't a group or a cult, or whatever they want to address or call groups like Comicsgate or movements like Comicsgate or the Fandom Menace or whatever. No groups. It was individuals. It was just people, alright? They came after her for trying once again to dogpile her followers on someone who had a different opinion. Just like that. Had she said she responded back because of the way Hall wrote his tweet, then we wouldn't even be talking about this. But the matter of the fact is, people like Simone lie time and time again to further the narrative that Comicsgate is a satanic cult, that any other opposing movement is a satanic cult, or is just out of the way, or is going to be extinct or whatever, or that the Fandom Menace is terrible or whatever. Or some other dumb shit like that, you know, and no, I'm not Comicsgate, and no, Comicsgate or the Fandom Menace or any other of those groups, they didn't come after her. Again, I am not Comicsgate. I don't give a rat's arse about them in any way, shape or form, or any other group for that matter. I don't care about those groups. I'm just tired of these people spinning it like it's a certain group, going after them when they are just sharing their opinions without hurting anyone, when in fact they jump on people. They send others and pit them against their detractors, against those that disagree with them, and they play the victim card later on like nothing happened. People, not groups, are tired of this, and I am going to call it out all the time and every single time that it happens. Just like right now. It happened, I am calling it out. And Gail, you're supposed to be a writer. You're supposed to write for a living. Quit Twitter and get to work. It sure would help you get your head out of your arse and bring back those days when you wrote Birds of Prey and everyone was just glad you didn't stick to writing only Simpsons comics. It seems like those days are just long gone and that you have not a single vein of creativity anymore left. And you just dedicate your time to complaining on Twitter in a false narrative to try to spin like you're the victim when we all very well know that you are all too familiar with these practices of dogpiling and going after people because they disagreed with you. Anyway, this is just my opinion as always, so let me yours be known down below in the comments. And let me know what you think about Eternals if you have watched it, and also let me know what you think about Gail Simone as a whole and this particular situation. Until next time everyone, peace out.